Hello, world. So, welcome to my interview for the Big Black Book NYC for our featured October Small Business of the Month, Schanica Pickens of Schanica Pickens Beauty. Say hello to the world, Schanica.
Hello, world. Thank you for having me, Beth. I very much appreciate this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to what the rest of our evening together will be like.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining me. And this is exciting. We've
It
worked
is.
together a lot for 3 years, right?
Has it been 3 years already,
It has.
Beth? Wow.
But yes.
Well,
So,
it's been a great 3 years.
yes, it has. You are, oh my gosh, you are so empowering. So, for anyone who does not know, um, most of the headshots that are posted in the small business directory, Schanica has done the powder touch ups for. She's just kind of polished the entrepreneurs up. And whenever they sit down in Shanica's chair, she chats them up and they glow and they smile. You really make people feel comfortable. It's amazing.
Thank you. And it's interesting that you say that because my motto is transferring beauty from within outwards.
Hmm.
So I operate from the lens of we are all beautiful beings, and makeup is just to accentuate and enhance our existing beauty and not mask our beauty. And so we all have various features that, certainly serve as a piece of who we are. And for some, we may love our nose. For some, we may love our eye shape, our cheekbone, and those are the areas that, you particularly identify because, of course, what we see is physical first. And we recognize certain attributes that the facial structure, possesses. And that those are the areas that I tend to attract to and elevate, just what you already have.
Hmm. Yes, but I like what you said, the beauty from the inside out, right? Because it's easy to just try to either hide behind beauty or feel self-conscious about. So, like, you might like, as you said, your cheekbones, but maybe you're not, a fan. Like, for example, for me, when I was growing up, I didn't like the shape of my nose. I didn't
Mhm.
feel it had much of a shape at all.
Right.
So but accepting all of it really is part of who we are.
It is. It is. And our reality is that as human beings, we all have, self-consciousness, right? We're all mindful of a lot of what we're self-conscious of. We have individuals that, help identify, what we consider some of our problem areas. And therefore that attacks the psyche. We internalize these things, and then we get to the place of wanting to idolize others, to look like them. We become socialized to what the media tells us is beauty. And even in our own family system, we have relatives that, make it a point to, separate, us siblings or us relatives by skin complexion, by certain features that we have that positions us in either making us feel very beautiful or making us feel very less than beautiful.
Yeah, like ranking. So there's a quote too that says comparison is the thief of joy. I'm paraphrasing it, but yeah, when we start comparing how this person's hair looks compared to ours, or this person's eye color or complexion or whatever, then we stop celebrating ourselves, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And some of us bask in others celebrating us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we become energized by, what we become motivated by, as opposed to us loving ourselves first
Yeah.
and really understanding who we are as beings and exuding the love for ourselves. And that's where self-confidence also comes in.
Yeah, self-confidence and identity, where you're getting it from, inside or from outside sources. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, when you consider the intersectionality of, the internal forces as well as the external forces, and they're joined together, it becomes who I am,
Hmm.
right? That infamous question. And so oftentimes when people ask, well, who are you? It's really hard for people to specify and respond to that because many, are confused,
Hmm.
and they have yet to be able to find themselves to be able to respond to that pertinent question.
Right. It's so key. So um I'm curious. I mean, I think we've talked a little bit maybe about it, but where do you get your inspiration from?
So my inspiration is actually driven from my mom, who had succumbed 7 years ago to breast cancer. And so each time, whether I'm holding a brush, whether I am in the space, of people at different gatherings, and certainly applying makeup, it's as if she's standing there with me. And
Oh,
so that gives me the drive, it gives me the motivation, and it also inspires me to be a creative spirit. And so as I consider when I was growing up, and the art pieces that she would draw, taking me to FIT where she was attending school, looking at all the beautiful paintings and just going, downtown Manhattan to Conway's and Woolworth, and, all of these stores that unfortunately is non-existent now. But I remember, I have visual experiences of those places. And so those are the things that inspire me to actually create. On top of that, there are also individuals in my life who, I very much admire within the makeup industry, or just within, the art industry in itself. And so I'm very much attracted to colors. I love colors. And so I will tell you, Beth, this is the most, and I think I've shared with you before, this is the most I've ever worn black.
yeah, we've talked about this.
Right, right. And I think black is beautiful, of course. Yes, black gives us the illusion of, looking, much smaller. However, I have a tall personality.
Yeah.
And so I'm not looking for anything to shrink me in size per se, but color for me serves as giving me power. It pushes me forward. It brightens my day. And so I gravitate to things with color. And so even as I'm doing my makeup, and I'm considering the client's canvas, their face, oftentimes I'm thinking to myself, well, can we play with color? Right? Let's not shy away from color. Be exuberant, be bright, be bold, but I have to be respectful and mindful of where they're at, right, in terms of what they want, also in consideration of how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And once they step outside of my chair, how are they going to actually display in the space where they're going? Because comfortability is very important, and people tend to pick up on that.
Yeah. Which actually kind of goes back to what we were chatting about in the beginning about having that inner confidence, right? And that inner identity. Because if you have that, then you can pretty much put anything on.
Right,
If it's like a foreign concept to you, maybe you've never worn like bold green eyeshadow before, right? It's
right.
your first time. But if you have that inner confidence, it's probably going to take you a few minutes to get used to it, but you're going to still like be able to
Yeah,
step into it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing too is all you need is one to two compliments on it, and then your guards come down, because then you begin to say, oh, okay, so it is attractive, right? Other people are responding very positively to it. And so you step into that walk with such grace, right? With a smile on your face, and it allows for you to live in the look.
Yeah.
So,
But I noticed even though you're wearing black, you still have pops of color. Your lipstick is popping. Yes.
My lipstick is popping. So let me tell you, when we talk about inspiration, my mother was a major proponent of red lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, that's all she would wear. Every now and again, she would put on a burgundy lip. But even up until the day she was transitioning, she was under hospice care, but she will always motion this, which meant to put on her lipstick. And so when I wear red, that's because I consider red my power color. We
Mm-hmm.
all have power colors. For
Yeah.
someone, it might be orange. For someone else, it might be purple. Some people identify it as my favorite color. Not that red is my favorite color, it's one of my favorite colors. However, it's a power color because it does make me pop,
Yeah.
right? It's bold.
Yeah.
And so whether I'm at home, whether I go outside, whether I'm in the workplace, it's an appropriate color, but it allows me to walk in my own, happiness and be able to exude, my reverence in wherever it is that I am.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so my lips are popping with red today.
Yes. So, I mean, I know you're very busy, right? And you have a lot going on. Being a makeup artist is it's complicated, right? You have to work with each person, as you mentioned. You really have to be able to read people. So it must be, exhausting some days. What do you do to kind of keep yourself balanced and maintain a healthy work-life balance? So there's still time for Schanica.
So one, it's recognizing that I'm a major proponent for self-care. A large part of that is also my training as a professional social worker.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very cognizant of the need for self-care. And sometimes it's hard to practice what we preach.
Yes.
And so, I'm a workaholic. I will absolutely admit it. I'm a workaholic and I will keep going like the Energizer Bunny. And then there are times when I'm made to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's your body is so tired and you have taken ill, and so now you have to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's I have to spend time with my son and create a space where it just he and I and doing the things that he wants to do. There's other times where I would just go walk on a boardwalk, whether it's myself, whether it's with a friend. Water is peaceful. Water serves tranquility for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love to hear the sound of waves.
Mm.
And so it relaxes my mind. It puts my body at ease and my soul at peace. And so because I'm at peace, then I can extend that to others.
Mm.
Makeup for me is not just about the application of putting product on people's faces. I actually see makeup as my ministry.
Okay.
And so it becomes a little deeper connected for me because I look at things from a spiritual level. So oftentimes, people will hear me say my spirit didn't gravitate too well to whether it's person, place, or thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not always sure about what that dynamic is. However, when something is wrestling in my spirit, I know something isn't right.
Right.
And coming into contact with people also requires us to be cognizant of that. But not everyone is in tune where people are at. And so I also have to be mindful that when I have clients in my chair, that I don't impose, right? I have to be mindful that not all clients want to engage or interact in conversation.
Right.
And so you have to respect their peace. This is their moment,
Yeah.
right? And so, that's where I find balance.
Mm.
Even sometimes it could just be the matter of giving a referral to someone about something,
Okay.
right? I love psychoeducation. So if a client says to me, well, what, moisturizer do you think is best for dry skin or oily skin? Or, what lipstick color is that? Can you give me a sample? Those are the things that really, serve as me imparting a gift onto someone. And
Mhm.
it's something that they will remember. People remember how you treat them,
Yeah.
and so my ministry as a makeup artist is really about providing a therapeutic space
Mm.
where people can gain peace, but at the same time, they can look good, feel better, and then go about their way.
Yeah. Well, this explains why for our events, when people come and you're touching up their nose with a little powder, or fixing their lipstick a little, why they're glowing, because um it's important that you're not just seeing it as a business, you're
Right.
actually ministering to people. And I think that sets you and other people who see business as like a ministry or as a service,
Yes.
versus someone who's just like, okay, I have to make this amount of money on this day and meet this benchmark. It changes the whole.
It really does. It changes the whole dynamic because I also see myself as a servant,
Yeah.
right? And so oftentimes we talk about, not being a follower and being a leader. But what some people fail to realize is that we have to learn to follow in order to lead,
Hmm.
right? So I assist other artists because I'm looking to learn, I'm looking to enhance my skill, but I'm also being a servant to that other artist
Yes.
because them asking me to get that makeup brush or to, apply, the moisturizer to the skin, I'm servicing them in a way to benefit the client.
Yes.
And so if others of us took on that servantry, attitude and recognizing that it's not about, submission, it's not about having like a superior, attitude or some type of complex, but it's really about giving. It's really about paying it forward.
Hmm.
Then you'll see how the skies have opened up,
Yeah.
right? And so I'll give you a very quick example, I met you through Tish Ferguson,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I assisted Tish on set many times. And when she wasn't available to provide, the service that you needed, she referred me.
She referred you and one other woman who I used as well.
Right.
And you both came highly recommended. She's like, you won't go
Exactly.
wrong with these women.
Exactly. Exactly. But I was a servant, to Tish.
Yes.
Right. And so because I was okay in that role, she felt comfortable enough and respected me enough
Yes.
to be able to refer me to you, knowing that I can be a servant to you.
I mean, you,
And so here we are, 3 years later, and we're engaged in serving people,
yeah,
and we enjoy what we do.
it's been fun.
It has been so great. Absolutely.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel? Is it the servanthood, the ministry part, or is it something else? What do you feel has been key to your success as a businesswoman?
I would definitely say it's both. I would say the servantry part as well as the ministry. I see them as going hand in hand.
Mhm.
Um, again, I'm blessed, to be able to have develop a skill, to be able to have additional skills to complement
Mm,
my skill set as a makeup artist, which is transferable to working with people, right? And so having a good read of people, having a good sense of self,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to listen to myself and listen to others is, I see it as what really allowed for me to blossom and to continue, my growth in this industry.
Yeah. So it's not just a one-sided aspect, like really being a business woman, or it could be a businessman, really, honestly,
Right.
a business person. Having like more than one skill set, being able to incorporate those and make them all work together in that space that you're working in.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you, a part of my training, I was told that my downfall would be that I talk too much because I'm a servant. And so I was told in this industry, you are to mind your business. You show up, you do your job, you're there to apply makeup. You're not there to have these extensive conversations and provide referrals and things of that nature. And so my transition from my social work background and entering the artistry and being told that there's rules to this, and the rule is that you mind your business, I struggled with that. And
Yeah.
so I couldn't adapt that attitude because that's not who I am. And so it's harder for me to be different than who I am as opposed to who I am.
Right.
You see, and so I just really couldn't adapt, to that. And I didn't. And I did not. And so, a large part of my success is because I am able to communicate with people and engage and sustain these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing, right? We can come into contact with folks, but how do you sustain those relationships, right? Whether they return back to you as a client or it evolves into a friendship or a sisterhood or a brotherhood, those are the important things for me that allows me to remain motivated and inspired and become aspired, right, to be larger than who I am.
Yeah. I can't believe they gave you that advice. That seems so strange.
Right,
I
right,
mean, obviously you wouldn't be trying to gossip with people. That's very
right,
professional, but
right. And to some extent, like I can sometimes see where that advice take its form, right? You have certain aspects or certain elements of the industry where conversation is not well received,
mm,
right? So you might be on a television or film set and it's a very structured environment. There's not much time,
yeah.
and space for you all to really engage in much conversation. And so it's understood, that we're here, we're working together to execute whatever it is, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So your communication does become a little different than if it's just a one-on-one client.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Sure. Yes.
Right. But, again, even in those very rigid environments, it doesn't mean that you have to take the form of, such rigidity to the extent where folks are just not communicating whatsoever.
Yeah. Awkward to me. Anyway, so what does the next level of success look like for you, Schanica?
Well, Beth, sometimes I say I just don't know, but I have to also call attention to the fact that, I'm a multi-passionate, creative. I'm a multicultural, makeup artist. And so I know, that God's plan for me, is larger than me. And sometimes we can't always tell in the moment, but I recognize my own evolvement, along my journey. And so I would definitely say I've been given a lot of thought to product development, like creating my own product line for women of color. I definitely at some point going to establish my own mentoring organization for young girls
Okay.
to tap into their ability to do makeup artistry from a very young age. And so that way they can develop, in the industry. And by the time they get to high school or even college for that matter, be able to, engage in, higher learning around that area, and, also education, right? I'm an educator at heart. And so I foresee myself, providing some educational workshops, to some of my novice, beginner, even mid-level, makeup artists. And just continue to flourish from there. Whichever way God, leads my steps, is I'm all open for it. And I'll test the waters and see how it all end up.
I'm sure it's going to be fine. So it basically sounds like your next level of success involves empowering other people to then
Yeah.
be successful, building people.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I do that already. I do a lot of that already, but I think it's time that I commit myself to just what's mine,
Hmm.
right? As opposed to committing myself to doing for what I need to do for others. And so it's establishing my own brand. It's really being much more intentional, about where I recognize some of the gaps and being able to plug in and serve as an agent for change, or, an additional creative to add to a lot of the work that have already been done. But it needs Shanika's own take to that.
Yes, your unique flair.
Absolutely. I like that. My unique flair.
Flair. Looking for wear red lipstick.
My
That
blonde hair.
wig.
Look
And
at
like
there.
an inspired jacket. You
Thank
have that
you.
flair and pizzazz.
Leave it up to you, Bev, to notice it all.
Well, that's what I do. I'm an artist as well.
Exactly.
Different from,
Exactly.
but yeah. I mean, all
Exactly.
art. We, I think, appreciate art as artists.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So, what would you say a lot of entrepreneurs miss or could incorporate into their secret sauce for success?
Well, one of the things that I would say is actually understanding anti-racism,
Mm,
right? It's being able to employ, multiculturalism into their business and not allowing themselves to be stagnant and just only catering to one type, of person. I'm all for, personal preferences, and so to each his own. However, when we consider today's climate and what's happening, in the world, it's important for entrepreneurs to be abreast of the world happenings,
right.
right? And to bridge inclusivity into their business, right? Hence the reason why I say that I'm a multicultural makeup artist, because I don't just do one type of skin, right? I can actually do a variety, of individuals, any skin tone. So I certainly see that of much importance. Also, customer service,
Mm,
right? Being able to be responsive to inquiries, being able to uphold contracts,
mhm.
being able to communicate effectively, arriving on time, ending on time. All of these things are integral to the effectiveness of one's business.
Yeah.
And lastly, I would also say being able to engage people. I think engagement skills are, one of the utmost important, secret sources
Mhm.
that we should have. And if you recognize that you don't have the skill set, then you hire those that do,
Right.
right? There's enough food on the table for many. So rather than trying to hoard it all, sometimes you have to relinquish some of it and put persons in positions that know how to facilitate your business so that you can generate revenue and develop your clientele, yet giving credit to those who possess the skills.
Right.
So those are some of the things that I see as the secret sauce to entrepreneurship and being successful.
Yeah, I agree. It's not, I mean, the world is made up of so many people,
Right,
a lot of different people, right?
right.
Be able to figure out how to do that, work with people, listen to them, right? Probably, I think part of the engagement might even be listening to what the other person has to say, how they feel,
Yes,
what they think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Beth, you and I was talking earlier. Of course, we can't, we'll be remiss to say social media, right? We'll be remiss to say that. It's the way of the world,
Yeah,
so whether we're ready, we best to get ready because it's here
it is here in full force.
in full force,
Yep.
right? And so I always say time waits for no one. So you can stop your clock if you choose to, but the clock still ticks.
Hmm.
And so before you know it, a year from now, you'll be saying, my goodness, I had that idea, but I had that thought, and had I executed it or patented it or copywritten it, that's a product that I could claim,
Yeah.
but instead, social media, somebody else, picked up on the gap, and there you have it. Someone else is doing it.
Someone else is doing what you were like. That was actually, it's kind of funny you say that because for the directory, right, I had the idea and then
Right.
I didn't know how to execute it, and it was kind of very different from how it looks now. But
Mm-hmm.
I sat on the idea for a year, and then I felt like, well, maybe I should get some advice. So I
Right.
asked a couple people, and then I was like, still like, what do I do? I was still like hesitant.
Right.
It's kind of a big undertaking because I'm not the best at detail
Right. Right. I get it.
and
I get it.
organizing, and it's there's no way I could do it without God helping me. It's just impossible because it's really outside of my nature as a creator
Yeah.
to have things like everywhere. But yeah, and I felt like God was like, just like start it now, go now. And if I
Yeah.
had someone else, I mean, there's a lot of different, small businesses, specifically
Right.
Black businesses out there that are direct,
Right.
but I feel like it was like the time. It was like I started it before like it really became a thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
um
And oftentimes fear get the best of us, right? And we kind of, become paralyzed. And then, we're just like, what do I do? I have this great idea. I want to execute it, but I don't know what to do. And so at least God put it in your heart to be able to share this with people who you trusted, and
yeah.
they didn't steal your idea and run with it.
Well, no, but I mean, I shared it with them that day, and like that night, I had the Instagram page.
Got it.
Also these are not, these are two individuals who would have not stolen from me.
Right.
Well, maybe
Right.
if I had waited another year or two,
Right.
and that wouldn't be stealing. That would be taking and, like you said, filling in a gap. Right there, was
Right.
a gap that needed to be filled.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think you just kind of almost have to start someplace
You
and
do.
and then not worry about it, especially if you're
Right.
a perfectionist.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then over time, you put together a team because you said, I don't do makeup. I don't want to be the only photographer,
Nope.
and have to edit all of these images. I can't do the behind the scenes as well. And, I can't be the only one to bring on vendors. So you put together a team,
Yeah.
and fortunately everyone gelled well, together. And so, we look forward to seeing one another and have a good time when we're all together.
It is. It's always fun with you guys. You and
It is. And you know what, Beth? And you produce great quality.
thank you.
That's the thing. You produce great quality and people remember it. For myself, I have been able to, collaborate with those whom I've met, right? And certainly served as a panelist for their organizations, or I referred others to, their businesses, or they referred to mine. So, it really have been a win-win for so many of us.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who's to say what a year from now is going to look like?
Who knows? We'll
Who
see.
knows? But the one thing we can say is we will just speak positivity into existence to say it's going to be great.
Yeah. That is the that's the only option.
Right. Exactly.
That's the only option.
Exactly.
So Schanica, tell the world, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
I can be found on Instagram at Schanica Pickens Beauty. That's SCHANICA Beauty at Instagram.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Schanica Pickens.
Cool. Is there any last thoughts you would like to leave people with, or any last things that you'd like to share about your business with the world?
Sure. So I certainly want to encourage everyone to keep the faith, keep the hope. When it seems as if, the tables have turned and you don't see a way out, I'm a spiritual individual, and so I will leave it with, give those burdens, to God. And, for those of us that may not be spiritual or be religious, then I'm certainly going to say, consider whomever, that higher being is, and put your trust and faith, into that person or that thing, or, whatever is meaningful, for you to continue to propel forward. I, enjoy, the business of beauty. And so I'm not just a, one-stop shop, but trust and believe that, time spent in my chair is time well spent. And my ultimate goal is to make you look good, feel better, and for you to certainly return, and with each return you get something different from the experience.
Yes. Each day is a new day, new possibility.
Absolutely.
Experience in Shanica's chair every day. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank
Thank you,
you
Beth.
so much, Schanica, for joining us. I'm so excited
Absolutely.
to.
I wouldn't have it any other way, Beth. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Thank you.